Blackrock Mountain is an integral and unique region of Azeroth, a sort of zone between zones that connects the Burning Steppes to the Searing Gorge. It's seen a lot of chaos and strife, as have the players who venture into the fiery depths or brave the darkened labyrinth of the Spire. The mountain is a major hub that nearly everybody visits at some point in their journey, but today I want to tackle a detail so overlooked, so unassuming, that in 20 years of playing, I doubt anybody has paid any real attention to it, but it actually gives us a major insight into Dwarven history. This is the secret of Vaelastrasz's Lair, and with all that being said, let's get right into it. High within Blackrock Spire, the halls of Blackwing Lair are one of the deadliest challenges for level 60 players. Nefarian, the son of Deathwing and his black dragonflight minions, now occupy the uppermost reaches, conducting horrible experiments and gathering their strength. But the Spire was not always this forsaken. Around 250 years ago, it, along with the entirety of Blackrock Mountain, was the domain of the Dark Iron Dwarves. Driven from Ironforge after the War of the Three Hammers, the Dark Irons fled to the Red Ridge Mountains, eventually becoming pawns of Ragnaros the Fire Lord and constructing a super fortress beneath the earth that extended from the lowest caverns to the highest peaks. Led by the line of Sorcerer Thane Thorasan, the dwarves never forgot their hatred of the Bronzebeards or Wildhammers who allied against them, retreating within the mountain for centuries and bolstering their military might. During the First War, the Dark Irons briefly re-entered the history books when they bargained with the Orcish Shadow Council, who moved into the upper half of the mountain, Blackrock Spire, with the dwarves moving everything into the lower depths. A few years later, the Shadow Council was deposed by the Dark Horde of orcs, trolls, and ogres, who soon after were being controlled by Nefarian and his progeny. This chaotic past explains the bizarre mix of dragon spawn and mortals we fight inside Blackrock Spire, and why all the architecture is dwarven in nature. With that history lesson out of the way, let's examine the current situation. One of the encounters blocking your path inside Blackwing Lair is Vaelastrasz, a lone red dragon who you once helped out, but has since been captured and corrupted by Nefarian's dark magic. Now he is a deadly asset, giving raiders quite the challenge with a barrage of burning attacks. Once you beat Vael, you probably want nothing more than to get out of that darn room and move on, but let's stop and take in the scenery for a minute. What do you see? Some weapons on display, some dark iron banners, sure, but if you take away the boss, the real focus here are the two statues near the ceiling, along with two throne-like chairs side by side down below. Let's think about this in a historical context. We know this wasn't the old throne room. We see Nefarian sitting on the ruined dark iron throne, so what's up with these chairs and statues? Maybe a courtroom, a senate chamber, thrones for members of the Thorasan family? After checking out the statues, one with a horned helm and one with a winged design, it finally clicked, and I realized that the reality of this room is much, much darker. Here are the two statues inside Vaelastrasz's lair, and here are the two statues from the Valley of Kings in Loch Medan. The resemblance is undeniable, and my theory for why this is makes a lot of sense, at least in my opinion. This secret, overlooked for potentially decades in classic WoW, is Thorasan's greatest insult to his rivals. The two statues are of the kings Madarin Bronzebeard and Cardros Wildhammer, leaders of the other two clans who united against the Dark Iron coup. After retreating here to Blackrock Mountain, the Thorasan line was still bent on ruling over the entire dwarven race, and we can still see their ongoing hatred in this room. The two small, unremarkable chairs far below the statues are a mockery of leadership, and the crude statues themselves lack detail or polish. Another layer of insult, as dwarves are known for their craftsmanship and regal statues. Perhaps if a future conquest was to succeed, this is where the two kings' descendants would be installed, really just puppets or slaves under the thumb of the Dark Iron elite. In the old days, I don't think this room was actually used for much in terms of government. It's a representation of Thorasan's mission, his desire to defeat and subjugate those who cast him out, and in the centuries since, this tale, or at least these specific details, have been forgotten by all. There are a few other copies of these models elsewhere in the game, down in Blackrock Depths, but I believe these can be explained as well. The area these statues are found in is essentially the historical district of the city, along with a statue of architect Franklorn Fordrite. This special monument includes a secret panel at its base, but actually shares a very similar model to that of King Madarin's. However, the horned helm has been edited down, which indicates to me that there is a meaning behind it. With this model also being involved in the Ironfell Hammer quest, this could also be why the Madarin statue is missing its axe on all of these copies. It's plausible that when the dwarves left the upper levels, they reconstructed these two monuments as reminders of their sworn enemies. I'm not sure if there are other places these models are used, but regardless, the specific placement of these two statues with these two chairs in Blackwing Lair are certainly significant from a lore perspective, and I wanted to share that idea with you all today. So next time you try to take down Vael and avoid your guild breaking apart in the process, consider that the details here might just be more than simple decoration. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you all have a splendid new year. Until next time, may the Force be with you.